My father demanded my four-bedroom house for my brother because he was starting a family while I'm single and have no life. I told him he shouldn't worry too much about his golden child because he's not even his. Sup Reddit. My parents decided my unemployed brother deserves my house more. The house I built with my two hands. You'll need some popcorn for this one, because when I refused to hand over the keys, well, I accidentally nuked the entire family tree. Name's Oliver, 38 male, and I spent 2 years rebuilding a Craftsman in Portland with my own hands. That four-bedroom house represents everything I built without a handout from anyone. Growing up in Beaverton, I figured out early that some kids get crowns while others watch from the sidelines. My brother Ethan, 4 years younger, was the crown prince. When I turned 12, I got a used bike from a garage sale. Bent handlebars, rusted chain. When Ethan turned 12, he got a trampoline park party plus a brand new bike. I asked Dad why. His response? Life's not fair, Oliver. Be grateful or be quiet. Ethan scraped by with C's and D's, managed one B+, and Dad took the family to Morton's. I made Dean's List 3 semesters straight and got a grunt if I was lucky. Mom saw it but never pushed back. College made it impossible to ignore. Ethan got full ride funded by Dad. Everything covered. Me? Dad said I needed to build character by paying my own way. So I worked 3 jobs. Mornings at a diner at 5 a.m., evenings at the library, weekends doing demo work for a contractor named Russ who paid cash. The construction gig started as rent money, but something clicked when Russ handed me a sledgehammer and pointed at a wall. Hit it like it owes you money, he said. After a month, he pulled me aside. You're not just swinging for a paycheck. You actually look at what you're tearing down. That's rare. Started teaching me to read plans, understand load paths. By my 3rd year, I was calculating material costs during lectures. Graduated with a business degree and 0 debt. Ethan changed majors 4 times. Took 6 years, all on Dad's dime. After graduation, I started at Cascade Construction. Lived with 3 roommates in a house where the shower had 2 settings, scalding or frozen. Drove a Honda with 180,000 miles that burned oil. Saved everything. Ethan got a condo down payment and a new Audi. Spent 6 years learning property development. Took every garbage job nobody wanted. My boss Gary pulled me aside one night after finding me in the office at 9 p.m. You're thinking 3 projects ahead. Time to build your own thing before you get stuck here forever. At 30, I bought a fixer-upper in a sketchy part of town where gunshots were the neighborhood alarm clock. Spent 8 months renovating it, sleeping on a cot. The foundation had settled 2 inches on the northwest corner. I jacked it level, poured new footers, replaced the rim joists, pulled permits for everything, did it right, sold it for 45% profit, rolled that into the next property, built my company while Ethan bounced between jobs lasting 8 months max. Dad always had excuses ready. The boss didn't appreciate his innovative thinking. Never Ethan's fault. Ethan's relationship history matched his employment record. First came Brittany, who he borrowed $4,000 from before she kicked him out. Then Jasmine, who supported him for 5 months. Dad always swooped in with cash. Then came Kelsey. Met her at some networking event. She was 26, worked as a social media consultant, 900 followers and sponsorships that paid in free protein powder. Within 2 months, Ethan proposed with a ring Dad co-signed for. Within 4, they were planning a wedding Dad agreed to fund. Red flags everywhere. Kelsey's Chanel sunglasses on a Target budget. Ethan's credit card debt Dad kept paying off. While my brother's life ran on Dad's credit card, my business grew, made a name doing historic renovations. By 35, I was bidding on major developments with waitlists. 3 years ago, I found the property that changed everything. 4-bedroom Craftsman in a neighborhood starting to turn. The house had been gutted by a previous owner who ran out of money. Exposed studs crawling with carpenter ants. Ancient wiring, plumbing leaking rust. But solid Douglas fir framing underneath. Spent 2 years on that house. Worked my projects during the day, came home and worked until midnight with headlamp and Milwaukee tools. Rewired everything. Replumbed the whole system. Restored the hardwood floors with a belt sander. Built a custom kitchen. The original knob and tube wiring had to be completely stripped out. I ran new circuits. Upgraded the panel to 200 amps. Installed GFCI outlets in the kitchen and bathrooms. Every inspection passed first try. Every dollar was mine. Every hour was mine. That house became proof that I could build something valuable on my own. Meanwhile, Ethan and Kelsey's engagement stretched into its 2nd year. They'd set 3 wedding dates, canceled all 3 because they kept spending the deposit money on other things. They lived in Ethan's condo that Dad had bought, surviving on Ethan's sporadic freelance work that paid maybe $600 a month, Kelsey's Instagram sponsorships, and monthly cash infusions from my parents. Kelsey had a talent for spending other people's money. Meanwhile, Ethan's credit cards were maxed at 47 grand across 5 different accounts. Dad paid the minimums every month to keep them from defaulting. Dad treated Ethan like a misunderstood entrepreneur. Mom enabled every bad decision with Venmo transfers. And me? I was the distant son who'd chosen material success over family connection. But I'd built actual walls. 4-bedroom house worth $680,000 that I'd bought for $340,000. Ethan couldn't build a credit score above 590. The call came from Mom on a Wednesday while I was reviewing bids. Her voice sounded nervous. "Honey, your father and I would love to see your house. We'd love to come for dinner this weekend. Just family." Part of me knew something was up. The other part agreed anyway. Spent the next few days getting ready. Deep cleaned. Planned Dad's favorites. Ribeye steaks I'd dry-aged myself. Roasted potatoes. Grilled asparagus. Stocked up on premium coffee and drinks. They arrived Saturday at 6 sharp. Dad walked in looking around like a building inspector. Mom compensated with over-enthusiastic compliments. Ethan and Kelsey showed up 20 minutes late. Kelsey immediately started photographing everything with her phone. The house tour was predictably painful. I showed them the structural work, explained the foundation and floor system. Dad nodded while checking his phone. Mom cooed. Ethan and Kelsey whispered in the hallway. When we reached the master suite, Kelsey finally spoke. "Wow, Oliver. This bedroom is literally bigger than our entire bedroom. Must be nice having all this space just for you. Kind of a waste, right? For one person?" "Seriously, bro," Ethan added. "What do you even do with 4 bedrooms? You don't even have anyone over. Pretty sad, honestly. You're just here alone every night in this big empty place." I smiled and said nothing. Dinner started civilly. Mom asked about my projects. For 15 minutes, it felt almost normal. Then Dad set down his coffee. "The house is impressive, Oliver. Better than I expected, honestly. You've done well for yourself." He paused. "Though I have to say it's way too much for a bachelor. All these empty bedrooms." Before I could respond, Ethan cleared his throat. "Actually, since we're all here, Kelsey and I have some exciting news." He reached for her hand. "We've finally set a wedding date, December 15th, and we're planning to start a family right away." The table erupted. Mom got teary. Dad stood up to shake Ethan's hand. I said congratulations. "This is perfect timing," Dad continued. "Ethan and Kelsey need a proper family home. That condo is too small for children." I nodded. "There are some good neighborhoods opening up. I could help them look—" "Actually," Dad interrupted, "your mother and I have been discussing a more practical solution." The room got quieter. "Oliver, you have this 4-bedroom house with 3 empty rooms. Ethan and Kelsey need space for their future family. It makes perfect sense for you to give them this place." Silence. "I'm sorry, what?" Dad waved his hand. "You're in real estate. You flip properties constantly. This is just another house to you. They need a home. You're one man who doesn't even need this much space. You can find an apartment. Let them settle in here." Kelsey was already looking around, probably mentally redecorating. Ethan had this smug look on his face, like he'd already won. "This isn't just another property," I said, keeping my voice level. "This is my home. I spent 2 years rebuilding it." "Oh, come on," Ethan scoffed. "It's just a house. Stop being dramatic." "And it's not about the house," Dad said impatiently. "It's about family. Your brother is starting a family. If you cared about family at all, this wouldn't even be a question. I care about family, but asking me to hand over my home isn't reasonable. I can help with a down payment." Kelsey's smile vanished. "Wow. Your brother needs help, and you're too selfish, too wrapped up in your lonely little kingdom to help him." "I'm offering to help, just not by giving up my house." "Some help," Ethan muttered. "Why am I not surprised?" "You've always thought you were better than me," he said, face flushing. "Mr. Self-Made Man. Meanwhile, you're sitting in this huge house alone like some pathetic hermit. No girlfriend, no friends, just your tools and empty bedrooms. But sure, hang on to your fortress." Kelsey leaned in. "You're going to die alone in this house, Oliver. Old and bitter." The rest of dinner went downhill fast. Dad got louder. Mom made weak attempts to smooth things over while siding with them. Ethan and Kelsey kept making comments about my miserable existence and how much better the house would be with actual life instead of one sad man's midlife crisis. By the time they left, slammed doors, Kelsey knocking a picture frame off, Ethan's parting, "You're going to regret this," things were done. Standing in my kitchen, I was angry, but I had this certainty that I wouldn't bend. This house was mine, and I'd burn it before handing it to them. Next morning, 6 missed calls from mom. 3 voicemails with the same theme. Dad was disappointed. Ethan was hurt. I needed to reconsider for the sake of family unity. Text from her read, "Please don't let pride destroy this family. You know your brother needs this. Why are you being so stubborn?" No mention of how I might feel having my life's work called wasted space. No acknowledgement that the request was insane. That afternoon, Dad called directly. "You're being unreasonable and frankly embarrassing. Ethan needs this house. Ethan needs a steady job and a reality check. Not my house. Watch your mouth. That's your brother you're talking about. The same brother who's trying to start a family while you sit in that house alone playing martyr. And this is my home you're trying to give away like a hand-me-down jacket." He hung up on me. The pressure campaign started in earnest. Mom called daily with tearful speeches about family unity. My Uncle Isaac sent an email explaining how real men put family first. My Aunt Paula posted cryptic Facebook statuses. Some people value things over people, clearly directed at me. Even my cousin Blake sent a message. "Dude, don't be that guy." Everyone had an opinion. Then it went public. Ethan posted about how hard it was finding affordable family housing. Kelsey shared it. When family members could help but choose not to. Praying for change of heart. The comments filled with relatives making thinly veiled references to selfish people. Dad escalated. Started calling my business clients. Not many, just enough to cause problems. Told them I was dealing with personal issues and might not be reliable. 3 clients called asking if everything was okay. 1 postponed a project pending resolution of your family situation. That crossed a line. Family drama was one thing. Attacking my livelihood was war. I deleted Facebook and doubled down on work. 2 weeks after the dinner, things escalated. Came home to find Ethan's Audi in my driveway. Found him and Kelsey in my house with a contractor, measuring tape in hand. The back door lock had been forced. Scratches around the deadbolt. Door frame splintered where they'd pried it open. "The master bathroom needs updating," Kelsey was saying, gesturing with her phone. "I'm thinking Carrara marble countertops and one of those rainfall showers. And this bedroom would be perfect for the nursery. We'd need built-in storage, expand the closet. What the heck are you doing in my house?" Ethan turned, annoyed. "Relax, bro. Just getting some preliminary measurements. Dad said you'd come around eventually, so we wanted to be ready to move in quickly. Get out." The contractor gathered his things, looking uncomfortable. "Look, I thought this was finalized. They showed me the address. Said the owner had approved the walkthrough. Well, the owner didn't. And you're trespassing." Kelsey crossed her arms. "This is exactly your problem, Oliver. Everything is yours, yours, yours. Some of us understand what family means, what real sacrifice looks like. Family doesn't mean breaking in and planning renovations." "We didn't break in," Ethan lied, even though the damaged door told a different story. "Since this will be our house soon anyway." "Yeah, you're being delusional, because this will never be your house. Ever." "We're delusional?" Kelsey's voice went shrill. "You're the one sitting here alone playing house like you're somebody important. This place is wasted on you. We'd actually use it. We'd fill it with life and love instead of one bitter man's ego." "Get out before I call the cops," I snapped. "Better single than a leech who's never earned anything," I shot back at Ethan. "When's the last time you held a job for more than 6 months?" Ethan's face went red. "I'm trying to start a family. What are you doing?" "Building my own life without handouts. You should try it." The contractor was gone. Ethan and Kelsey followed, but not before Kelsey knocked over a lamp and Ethan put his fist through the drywall. Left a hole the size of a dinner plate. Cost me $200 in materials and 3 hours of work to patch and repaint. "You'll regret this," Ethan said from the doorway. After they left, I stood in my damaged hallway. I changed all the locks that night and installed a security camera system. The next escalation came 4 days later. Ryder called during a morning meeting. "Someone's been calling our clients spreading rumors about financial instability." My stomach dropped. "What kind of rumors?" "Personal bankruptcy. Projects not getting completed. 3 clients called this morning." I spent 2 days doing damage control. The Harrisons, who'd signed for a $400,000 renovation, were spooked. The Martins threatened to pull out of a $680,000 new build. Anderson Commercial wanted written assurances before releasing the next draw. Ryder and I tracked the source, Kelsey's number. She'd photographed our client list during her tour. "Legal action?" Ryder asked. "Not yet. Document everything." Ryder was former Marine. No nonsense. "Your family's sabotaging your business to force you out. That's warfare. When are you hitting back?" "Not yet." The final straw came Thursday evening. Got a call from my neighbor Jerry. Oliver, there's people at your place trying to get in the back door. I went over. They said they had permission, but something seemed off. What did they look like? Younger guy, woman with sunglasses. I was 15 minutes away. Called the cops while driving. Arrived to find two officers talking to Ethan and Kelsey. Ethan was explaining they were family and had rights to the property. The cops looked skeptical until I arrived with my driver's license, property deed, and security footage showing them jimmying the back door. That's attempted burglary, one officer said. He's my brother. This is a family matter. It's a criminal matter when you try to break into someone's property without permission, the cop corrected. Family or not. Kelsey jumped in, voice high and dramatic. This is insane. We're family. Tell them, Oliver. I looked at the officers. I've asked them repeatedly to stay away. They've been harassing me, broke in once, and now trying again. I want this documented. They didn't arrest them, just gave them a warning. But the officer pulled me aside. I've worked family disputes for 15 years. This escalates. Consider a restraining order. Document everything. You're going to need it. After they left, Jerry came over with a soda. Family problems? My brother and his fiancée think they're entitled to my house because they're starting a family and I'm single. Jerry nodded. Had a brother like yours. Spent 30 years bailing him out. You know what I learned? What's that? Some people only understand boundaries when you enforce them with paperwork and police reports. They need consequences. Real ones. I thought about that all night. By morning, I'd made a decision. Monday morning, I visited attorney Rebecca Stone. Explained everything. The house demand, harassment, attempted break-in, business sabotage. You have grounds for a restraining order, she said. But it will permanently damage family relationships. They're already damaged. She drafted the paperwork. Restraining order hearings scheduled for 3 weeks out. But something nagged at me. Dad's favoritism toward Ethan had always seemed desperate, like he was trying to prove something. I started digging through old family photos. Spread them across my table. The more I looked, the more obvious it became. Ethan didn't look like Dad, or me, or anyone on Dad's side. Different nose, jawline, build. Hazel eyes and a family of blue. Even his mannerisms were different. Dad had this habit of cracking his knuckles when he was thinking. I did it too. Ethan never did. Small things that added up. Called my cousin Monica in Seattle. After some small talk, I asked carefully, Did your mom ever mention anything weird about Ethan's birth? Long pause. Why are you asking? The way Dad has always treated us differently. I don't know anything for certain, but I remember overhearing my mom mention a guy named Connor, someone your mom dated in college before your dad. Connor. Mom had an old yearbook in the attic. I'd seen it as a kid. That weekend, I went to my parents' house when they were out. Still had my childhood key. Found the yearbook. Connor Reeves. Senior photo, confident smile, dark hair, hazel eyes. Same features Ethan had. Next to his photo, a small heart. Scratched out. I researched. Connor Reeves lived in Denver, ran a consulting firm, married with 3 grown kids. In every photo online, I saw Ethan's face. Getting DNA proof would be tricky. Uncle Isaac's birthday lunch was the next family interaction. Dad texted saying I was expected. I showed up with fake civility. The party was tense. Ethan and Kelsey whispered loud enough for me to hear. Selfish and pathetic. But I wasn't there for reconciliation. I palmed Dad's water glass during lunch. Grabbed Ethan's soda can later. Both went into Ziploc bags in my car. For Connor, I reached out through LinkedIn about consulting. We had a video call. I mentioned being in Denver for business. Coffee? Connor agreed. Seemed genuinely decent. Successful, well-spoken. The coffee meeting was pleasant. When he went to the restroom, I grabbed his coffee cup and napkin, sealed them in bags I'd brought, sent all 3 samples to a DNA testing service, paid for rush processing, then waited. The restraining order hearing happened first. Rebecca presented documentation. The judge barely deliberated. The judge said to Ethan, You and Ms. Torres are to maintain a minimum distance of 100 yards from your brother's residence and place of business. No direct or indirect contact. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Ethan's face went purple. Kelsey looked like she wanted to set the courtroom on fire. Dad, who'd come to support Ethan, stood up sputtering. One more outburst and you'll be removed, the judge warned. As we left, Dad caught up with me in the parking lot. You got a court order against your own brother. My brother tried to break into my house. Twice. His fiancée sabotaged my business. I protected myself. This is what you've become? So obsessed with your house that you'd destroy your family? I didn't destroy anything. You did. By treating Ethan like he could do no wrong while treating me like an inconvenience. Dad's face darkened. I gave both you boys everything. You gave Ethan everything. I got lectures about character building. You got exactly what you deserved. Ethan needed more support. He's always struggled more than you. Wonder why that is, I said. Maybe ask Mom about Connor Reeves. Dad froze. I drove away. The DNA results arrived 3 days later. The envelope sat on my counter for an hour before I opened it. The report was technical, but the conclusion was clear. Dad and Ethan shared no paternal DNA. Connor and Ethan showed 99.9% probability of biological paternity. I'd been right. Ethan wasn't Dad's son. Ryder came over that evening. I showed him the report. This explains everything, he said. What are you going to do? Part of me wanted to blow everything up immediately. Part of me hesitated. Then I remembered Ethan's fist through my wall, Kelsey's calls to my clients, the attempted break-in, the $8,000 I'd spent on legal fees so far, the project I'd nearly lost. I'm going to use it, I said. First move, I sent a letter to Dad. Professional courier, signature required. Simple. Enclosed is a DNA test proving Ethan is not your biological son. Connor Reeves, Mom's college boyfriend, is his father. The test included samples from you, Ethan, and Connor. Results are conclusive. I have copies in multiple locations. If the harassment about my house continues, I will share these results with the entire family. If you leave me alone, this stays between us. Your choice. I included a copy of the full report. All 14 pages. Genetic markers, probability calculations, lab certifications. Impossible to dispute. The next 48 hours were silent. Then Dad called. We need to talk. In person. Fine. Neutral location. We met at a diner off I-5. Dad looked terrible when I walked in. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled, eyes hollow. He'd clearly told Mom. Their car was in the lot. She was sitting in the passenger seat, face in her hands. Inside, Dad ordered coffee he didn't drink. Sat in silence for 5 minutes before speaking. How long have you known? About 2 months. Started suspecting longer? The yearbook. You took the yearbook. Borrowed it. Returned it. More silence. Then, I suspected when Ethan was born. The timing was right. Your mother had been distant. And he didn't look like me. But I never wanted confirmation. So you overcompensated. Tried to prove he was yours by giving him everything. Dad's hands shook around his coffee cup. Every time I looked at him, I wondered. Every milestone I asked myself if I was raising another man's son. I thought if I loved him enough, it would make the biology irrelevant. And what about me? Your actual son? You were so independent. I thought you didn't need as much. I needed my father. Not money. Just acknowledgement that I mattered. Dad looked broken. I know, and I failed you. I've been failing you for 38 years. The apology I'd waited for didn't feel like anything. Too late. Too much damage. Does Ethan know? Dad asked. Not from me. Your mother wants to talk to you. I don't want to talk to her. Please, just give her 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I walked out to the parking lot. Mom got out of the car, mascara streaked down her face. I'm sorry, she said immediately. For all of it. The affair, the secret, letting your father treat you differently, all of it. How long did it last? 3 months. Connor came back for a work project. Your father and I were having problems. I was weak. It ended when Connor went back to Denver. I never told him about Ethan. Does he know now? I don't think so. You didn't. I met him for coffee. Told him I was a potential client. Took a DNA sample. He thinks it was just business. I didn't tell him he has a 34-year-old son. Mom's relief was obvious. Thank you. Thank you for... I didn't do it for you. Connor seems decent. Didn't seem fair to drop a bomb in his life when he's done nothing wrong. What happens now? That depends. The house situation ends immediately. No more demands. No more harassment. Ethan and Kelsey stay away from me. My business, my property. You and Dad leave me alone unless I initiate contact. Do that, and this stays private. And if we don't, then everyone finds out. Every relative. Every family friend. I'll mail copies to everyone in Mom's Christmas card list. Ethan will find out his life is built on a lie. Dad will be the man who got cuckolded and spent 34 years overcompensating. And you'll be the woman who cheated, lied for 3 decades, and let her real son suffer. Mom flinched. That's cruel, Oliver. So is asking me to give up my home for your mistake. So is watching you enable Dad's favoritism my entire life because you were protecting your secret. We all make choices. I left them in the parking lot. Drove home. Didn't feel anything. Just empty. 2 days later, Dad called. We've agreed to your terms. No more contact. No more pressure. Just leave it alone. Don't tell Ethan, as long as you keep your end. There's something else. Your mother and I are separating. This brought up too much. We're filing for divorce. Couldn't find any sympathy. That's between you two. After he hung up, I sat in my house and thought about what I'd done. I'd destroyed my parents' marriage, weaponized a family secret, burned bridges that couldn't be rebuilt. But I still had my house, and that had to count for something. Uncle Isaac showed up at my office 3 weeks later. Ryder intercepted him. Isaac looked rough. Your father's falling apart. Moved into a motel. Your mother's staying with Paula. And Ethan, what the heck did you do? I protected myself. You destroyed your parents' marriage. They destroyed it 38 years ago. I just stopped pretending. Isaac left without another word. But the encounter confirmed Dad had told people. The secret was leaking. My cousin Blake called that weekend. Dude, what's going on? My mom says your parents are getting divorced and it's your fault? It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it. Is this about the house thing? Did you really get a restraining order against Ethan? Ethan tried to break in twice. His fiancée sabotaged my business. The restraining order was necessary. Blake went quiet. Are you doing okay? This seems extreme. I'm fine. Better than fine. For the first time, I'm not waiting for scraps of approval from people who made it clear I don't matter. That's pretty dark, Oliver. It's honest. The next crack came from Mom. She violated no contact with a text. Please don't do this. We're a family. I didn't respond. 2 days later, your father is talking about telling Ethan everything. Please let me explain things to him first. Still no response. The divorce proceedings were bitter. Heard through Blake that Dad was pushing for full disclosure about the affair. Mom's attorney was fighting to keep it sealed. Getting expensive and nasty. 6 weeks after my ultimatum, the inevitable happened. Ethan found out. Got a series of texts from an unknown number. You destroyed my family, you piece of trash. Escalated from there. Threats, accusations, incoherent rage. I saved everything and forwarded it to Rebecca. This violates the restraining order, she said. Want to pursue criminal charges? Not yet. Let him rage. I might need documentation later. The texts continued for 2 days, then stopped. Blake called. Ethan knows. About Connor. Everything. How'd he find out? Your dad told him. Said he was tired of living with lies. Ethan's losing his mind. The wedding's off. Kelsey dumped him immediately when she realized he's not getting any inheritance money. I couldn't help but laugh. Kelsey's gold digging had been obvious from day one. It gets worse, Blake continued. Ethan went to Connor, flew to Denver on a credit card he can't afford and confronted him. Showed up at Connor's consulting office demanding a relationship and financial support. Walked right past the receptionist screaming about being his son. How'd that go? Connor was blindsided. Had no idea Ethan existed or that your mom even had a second kid. His wife was there for a lunch meeting. Ethan caused a massive scene in front of employees and clients. Security had to escort him out. Connor's lawyer sent a cease and desist letter. Threatened a restraining order if Ethan contacts him again. Perfect. Ethan had burned through his last potential lifeline in spectacular fashion. And Kelsey? I asked. Gone. Dumped him same day he told her about the DNA results. Took her stuff and moved back with her parents. The dominoes were falling faster than I'd expected. Your family's in meltdown mode, Blake said. Mom's staying with Aunt Paula. Dad's spiraling at a motel downtown. Neighbors complained about the noise. Ethan's bouncing between rage and depression, couch surfing because he can't afford rent. And everyone blames you. 3 months later, I'd settled into a new normal. The restraining order meant Ethan stayed away, though texts from burner phones reminded me he hadn't accepted anything. Mom tried reaching out through relatives. I ignored all of it. Dad had gone silent. Blake said he'd moved to a small apartment across town. The divorce finalized in November. Mom got the house and half the retirement accounts. Dad got his apartment and the other half. Neither seemed happy. Then came the Christmas text from Ethan. Hope you're enjoying your house while our family burns. 2 days before Christmas, Rebecca called. Ethan filed a lawsuit claiming you manipulated DNA evidence. That's absurd. It's legal harassment. Won't go anywhere, but it'll cost time and money. That's the point. The lawsuit claimed I'd manufactured fake results, spread false information, and caused emotional distress, seeking $200,000. The case was trash. DNA results were certified, I had documentation. But defending meant depositions and fees. Ryder looked at it. He's hoping you'll settle. Not happening. Rebecca filed to dismiss. Included documentation of violations, sabotage, break-ins, hearings scheduled for February. In the meantime, the gossip reached critical mass. Everyone knew about Connor. Sides had been chosen. Half the family thought I was vindictive. The other half thought I'd been justified. Spent Christmas alone, ordered Chinese takeout, worked on design plans. Phone stayed silent. Best Christmas I'd had in years. The lawsuit hearing happened on a cold February morning. Ethan showed up representing himself. Couldn't afford an attorney. Looked gaunt, exhausted. The courtroom was small. Judge Collins presiding. Rebecca destroyed his case. Presented certified DNA results from Helix Labs, complete with chain of custody documentation. The restraining order with police reports attached. Screenshots of Kelsey's calls to my clients with timestamps. Bank records showing Ethan's dependency on parental support. $47,000 in credit card debt, 5 accounts in collections. Character witnesses testified to employment instability. Ethan tried to argue. Claimed I'd manipulated everything. His voice cracked halfway through, hands shaking as he held photocopied documents that looked printed at a library. No legal structure. Just rambling about betrayal and stolen futures. The judge cut him off after 10 minutes. This case is without merit. The DNA evidence is certified and legally obtained. Your brother had legitimate reasons for protecting himself given the documented harassment. Your emotional distress stems from discovering a truth about your parentage, not from any wrongdoing on his part. Case dismissed. Furthermore, I'm sanctioning you $5,000 for filing a frivolous lawsuit that wasted this court's time. Ethan's face went white. Outside, he caught up with me. He looked terrible. Gaunt, hollow, clothes hanging off him. Completely defeated. Are you happy now? You've destroyed everything. I stopped letting you take what wasn't yours. It was just a house. It was my life, my work, my proof I could build something on my own. You wanted to take it because you've never built anything yourself. Because Dad always gave you everything. So you thought you deserved my house too. He's not my dad, Ethan said, voice breaking. I don't have a dad. Connor wants nothing to do with me. And Patrick, he can barely look at me now. Do you know what that's like? Yeah, actually. I know exactly what it's like to have Dad look at you like you're disappointing. I lived with that for 38 years, while he looked at you like you hung the moon. Difference is, I built something anyway. You just expected handouts. I lost everything because of you. My father, my relationship, my fiancé, everything. You lost everything because of choices your mother made before you were born, and choices you made your entire life. I just stopped being collateral damage in your mess. You want advice? He stared at me, broken. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Connor's not going to be the dad you want. Patrick isn't your father and probably won't be again. Mom can't enable you anymore. Figure out who you are without someone propping you up financially. Build something yourself for once. Easy for you to say. You had everything figured out from the start. I had nothing figured out. I was just scared of ending up like you, broke, and blaming everyone else. I left him standing there in the courthouse parking lot, destroyed and desperate. The final piece fell into place in March. Got a certified letter from Mom's attorney. She was selling the house in Beaverton. Too many memories. Too expensive to maintain alone. The proceeds would be split per the divorce decree. But there was a separate letter from Mom herself. Handwritten. Oliver, I know you don't want to hear from me. I don't blame you. I've spent 3 months in therapy trying to understand the damage I did to you and your brother. Not Ethan's therapy, mine. Trying to own what I created. I had an affair. I lied for 34 years. I let your father overcompensate with Ethan in ways that hurt you. I enabled both of them instead of making hard choices. Those are my failures, not yours. You were right to protect your home, right to set boundaries. I can't undo the past, can't rebuild what's broken, but I want you to know, you deserved better. From all of us. I'm sorry I couldn't give you that. Your father is still in his apartment downtown. He asks about you sometimes. I tell him I don't know, because I don't. Maybe that's appropriate. I don't expect forgiveness. Just wanted you to know I understand, finally, what I took from you. Love, Mom. I read the letter twice, then put it in a drawer with the DNA results and all the other documentation of the family implosion. Ryder came by that evening with takeout and found me sitting on my back deck, having a drink and watching the sunset. You good? He asked. Yeah, better than good, actually. Ryder raised his drink. I'll drink to that. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Jerry joined us a while later with his own sodas. The three of us sat on my deck as the Portland sky faded. The house looks good, Jerry said, gesturing at the custom pergola I'd built last month and the new landscaping. Adding the outdoor kitchen next? Yeah. Ordering materials next week. Viking grill, stone countertops, built-in fridge, maybe a pizza oven if I'm feeling ambitious. Business was solid. 3 new contracts signed. The house was mine. Worth $720,000 now according to the latest appraisal. The market had been good to me. No mortgage, no entitlement, no family claiming ownership of my sweat equity. This house had become the catalyst for my family's destruction. The demand for me to surrender it had exposed rot that had been there for decades. My refusal had forced everyone to face truths they'd spent years avoiding. The DNA test had blown up whatever remained, and the explosion was still echoing. I didn't regret any of it. Not 1 second. Standing in my living room at midnight, I felt something I'd never felt in my family's presence. Peace. Not happiness. That seemed too simple for what had happened, but genuine peace. The kind that comes from knowing you're living honestly, even if that honesty burned down everything around you. The family I'd been born into was gone, scattered and broken, probably permanently. But I'd kept what mattered, set boundaries that protected me. Some people call that selfishness. I call it survival. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.